Hello everyone. Well, I guess I'm getting into a desktop form factor kick. This will be the second system in a row, and it sure looks interesting. I'm gonna guess late 90s, seeing as we don't have a turbo button. Well, let's tear into this thing and see what mysteries lie inside. And that case badge says Telstar, no doubt a homage to the Telstar communication satellites. And I do appreciate a good vertical 3.5-inch drive bay, and this case has two of them. Though it's not immediately clear why they didn't use one of these for the floppy drive, opting instead for this adapter. Maybe we have multiple hard drives? We could hope. And this is clearly the A drive, and that's clearly the CD-ROM drive. So helpfully labeled, just in case you forget. I get the feeling that this system has been granny-proofed. Now, pardon me as I struggle to contain my surprise and excitement. This is a freaking ATX case. A desktop form factor ATX case. These don't come across my bench very often. Actually, I don't think ever. I can't remember a single instance. Sleeper build, anyone? This is definitely the case for it. And here's some more signs of granny proofing. Got more port labels here. Actually, lots of port labels. No guessing games required. A video card looks interesting, with VGA DVI on composite output. I'm getting the feeling this thing's a little bit newer than it lets on. This type of case I expect a socket 7 CPU or something. I don't know, this doesn't quite agree with that. Got a nondescript system ID number there. Could be an asset tag for a company, unless Telstar was a small builder. I was trying to identify the manufacturer of this case. Nothing jumps out at me, though it was made in Taiwan. If that helps narrow it down, I would love to know. Alright, let's get this thing open. Alright, got all the screws out. Let's get it apart. Wait, what? This thing's a Pentium 2. A dusty Pentium 2, but it's there. We also have a hard drive. Hooray! And the hard drive does eat up one of those 3.5-inch drive bays. That's kind of hateful. I would have had some tangs hanging off the side of this in order to attach the hard drive, just to keep those two bays accessible from the front. Weird choice. Looks like this panel here is get-riddable, so let's try to get rid of it. That opens things up. And the power supply is made by Antec, though I'm kind of doubting if this is an Antec case. Could be wrong though. I don't see any cromulent looking date codes on that label, but it could be on the other side. But it claims to be ATX 2.01. And none of these capacitors are apparently plaguey, though this one here looks like it's been significantly harassed. It's got a dent in the top and it's kind of shoved over. I guess somebody hit it at some point. And I've never heard of an AGP fan. Well, fans for AGP cards usually take power from their own board. Unless that's just some kind of weird secret code word for a case fan. I don't see a traditional case fan header anywhere. And this thing is dusty, spidery, and a few other types of filthy. Let's just sweep it out real fast. And some zip ties knocking around down here too. Get out of there. Good enough for now. Now we seem to have a modem of some sort. Check that out. ISA slot holding on tight. Yep, it's a modem alright. With a jumper configured COM port. So you have a date code of November 16th, 98 there. Or did I say date code? That's just a date. Well, who knows when that was put on there. But this card seems older than that. Although maybe not. That might be the actual date code there. 30th week in 1998. They were still making ISA dial-up modems in 1998. I'm sure the date codes on one of these chips agrees. How about that sound card? And that's a Sound Blaster Vibra 16, or 16XV, model CT4170 from 1997. Boo for no real OPL3. There's another one of those stickers. I'm guessing Telstar was some kind of builder. I'm assuming Tel stands for Telstar. It's all starting to make sense. And the PCI video card. Letting that AGP slot go to waste. Okay, that's an ATI something. Let's see. Yeah, it's not immediately clear. Did I miss something obvious? Let's see, RV6P. Not sure what that means. Clearly it's a 64 meg version. Yeah, I'm not sure. We shall see. None of those strings make sense to me. Oh, that heatsink is like horribly off center. See, it's kind of down and to the left. We got all this overhang. That's pretty funny. Now let's turn our attention to the brains of the operation. The Pentium 2 with MMX technology. Oh, and there's the case fan header. It was hiding behind this floppy cable. Now, see if these clips break. They don't usually, but after so many years, anything could happen. Yeah, we're a little dusty. But that's one of the more compact Pentium 2 coolers I've seen. These things are usually pretty proud, sticking out at least twice as long as these. Boy, is it dusty. Alright, I have no idea how to interpret these codes. But I'm going to guess 333 megahertz with 512K of cache. I don't see any other more obvious indicators of specs. Maybe once we pop this heatsink off, it'll tell us more. We'll do that later. Let's see what's on the RAM side. A 64 meg stick of PC66. Couldn't even spring for PC100. It's reasonably clean. The other one looks the same. Same type of module. Indeed it is. So, 128 megs of RAM in this thing. Not bad, not bad. It's got the memory. Alright, let's decablify everything. I got that thing shoved all the way up in there. It's getting caught on everything. And that's an interesting position for the front panel headers, kind of in the upper middle. I guess this motherboard was anticipating a desktop form factor. So yeah, that's weird. Another thing that's weird is there are two connectors for the power switch. I was wondering why this was disconnected, and I noticed there's already one connected. And there's 4 leads coming out of the switch, which is right here. Now, why on earth would there be 2? I wonder if there was ever a hibernate header. I seem to be having some vague false memory of that, and it's honestly the only thing I can think of. Yep, it's getting weird. Alright, I'll sweep this thing out. It's a mess. Don't worry, we are well outside of static season. And, you know, I always gotta check that those batteries are actually dead. We're doing science here, you know? Oh yeah, that's super dead. Get more voltage from the atmosphere. Jumps right out of there. That is a pretty nice motherboard though, with AGP, PCI, and ISA, made by DFI, model number P2XLX, based on the mighty i440 chipset. Okay, back on that CPU, we gotta get this fan off, and that's not always the easiest thing to do on these, so if it seems like I'm gonna destroy something, we're just not gonna proceed. I see clips, 4 of them. Things seem to be coming. Alright, that was actually one of the easier ones. What a mess. Yeah, it's not a whole lot of fins, at least compared to what I typically see on Pentium 2 coolers. They're usually huge. Maybe this is a later, more efficient version. Let's get it swept out. Well, I guess it wasn't as bad as it seemed. We've definitely had worse. It's all pretty now, though. Let's get it back together. Let's see how it sounds, though. Ah, good old Intel fan. Never a lick of trouble out of these. Okay, now let's work on getting these drives out of here. Seems like this 3.5-inch drive cage has to come out facewards, which means this face has to come off. And it's held on with these screwy spring clips. You're supposed to be able to pull these off, but it always feels like I'm going to break them. So I just unscrew them. Or at least as many as I can reach. But these all seem pretty accessible. Ah, spoke too soon. Even the stubby screwdriver's not getting the bottom ones. We're gonna have to pry. Please don't break, please don't break. There we go, and it didn't break. What do you know? Now it should simply be a matter of descrewing this and yanking on that. Yeah, there we go. And it looks like these big guys are just held in with their tabs. Yep, sure are. And this thing could use a good sweeping. Better. And there be the hard drive, a 6.4 gig Western Digital Caviar, manufactured September 1998. And there's that TEL sticker again. That's becoming the TEL of this system. At least those are giving us a lot of date evidence. This hard drive was less than 2 months old when it was installed. Telstar was on the cutting edge. Or maybe they were just cutting. And there's the CD drive. It's one of those Toshiba drives like what you'd find in those Dell systems. Manufactured October 1998. Yet another TEL sticker, except this time they got kind of curly with the L. So that's a tech sticker. And again, less than 2 months old, or possibly 1 month. And these drives use rails. Maybe that'll help identify the case. Boy, and these got to be precisely placed. They don't have pre-drilled holes. Well, except for these. But those are clearly not being used. And the floppy drive is a TIAC, model FD235HF. So Telstar is using the good stuff. Although I don't see a TEL sticker anywhere on this drive. I'm also pretty sure there's supposed to be a screw there that retains the top cover. I don't see any witness marks though, so maybe it just was never there. It is dusty as frig though. And you already know what I'm about to do. Pop the cover, sweep the dust, clean the heads, and grease the greasy bits. So let's get that done. You know, I could never put my finger on it. Clean systems get dusty drives, and dusty systems get clean drives. We gotta get some scientists on this. It's gotta be something with positive and negative air pressure in the case. But yeah, look how clean this thing is. There's like barely any dust. So I'll just sweep out the insignificant bit that is there. I think there's actually a risk of adding more dust to this drive with this brush. Let's see, is that spindle dusty or dirty? Oh, nope, it's dust. Ah, that got some. Big old clump of nasty. And let's hit the heads. Ah, those are dirty. A little bit dirty, but they definitely warrant a second pass. Let me just hit that surrounding a little more. Eesh, that was filthy. Guess this thing's not as clean as it let on. Second pass. Alright, there we go. Now let's get the lead screw. Now a quick check of the mech. Works great. Let's close it up. Alright, power supply. It's time to surrender your mysteries. Yeah, I'm guessing based on this mosaic of screws that this is something that somebody just tossed in here. Telstar seems like a fine, upstanding precision operation that would never do something like that. And then there's the fact that some of these cables are almost twice the length of the case. Yeah, that power supply clearly came from or was intended for a tower. Yeah, and here's some evidence. That warranty sticker has a date of June 2000. So yeah, the dates ain't lining up. This thing is a transplant. Well, let's see if it at least works. It feels like it's high enough quality. Alright, got the Clickster sacrificial hard drives on the job. Still going they are. Can it end today? Probably not. Let's see. Yeah, definitely not. Those are some good voltages. Let's just let that cook. Alright, cooked for 5 minutes. We're still alive. And Antec maintains its reputation. Oh, and it appears this case does have a hard drive caddy. It's hiding in one of the 5¼ inch drive bays. Although that does unnecessarily burn a 5¼ inch drive bay. That's better than burning a more scarce 3½ inch drive bay. This case is actually pretty nice though. And let's see, do those drive rails give us a satisfying click? Oh yeah, that's the stuff. Positive retention. Yeah, I like this case more and more. Ah, 3½ inch drive cage doesn't. Gotta give it some persuasion. But I think I can forgive that. Speaking of satisfying clicks, let's get the CPU back in there. And before I put the faceplate back on, I do want to clean off this 20-year-old finger scuzz. That's like oxidized Cheeto dust patina or something. And it seems like I can liberate that button by simply squeezing these tabs together. Almost. There we are. Let's sanitize this filthy thing. The strongest alcohol possible. Well, that took way more doing than I could comfortably get on camera. Petrified finger scuzz is no joke. I even had to do some micro scrubbing with the magic eraser. And it's not just the button. The scuzz is wicked into the button bore. I bet that's going to be no fun to clean out. I'm going to start with the easy route. Paper towel and alcohol. Alright, that's actually coming off easily. Far more easily than it came off the button. Yeah, that's better. Now let's get the button and spring ensemble back in there. And it even works better. It's not binding up on scuzz. Now I usually feel okay about refacing with these screwy spring clips. Let's see. Oh yeah, goes right on. No trouble. Now guess what time it is? That time. What for testing? Let's send it some voltage. Alright, it's happy about that. Let's power it on proper. Alright. Yeah, happy sounds and it's posting. Hard drive sounds happy enough. It did chug-a-lug a little bit. Like, slowly came back to life. Those Western Digitals do that. Alright, let's go ahead and set up and at least set the date and time so we don't wreck any timestamps. I suppose I could have just typed that. Alright, don't care about time. Get out of here. Save that. Yes. Woohoo, that's a boot. Windows 98. Wait, what in the... What? Continuous performance test screening version. What in the hell is this? T.O.V.A continuous performance test. Okay, this rings no bells whatsoever. I'm gonna guess like some kind of medical thing? Let's see if we can get some help. Use the Alt menu? Nope. How in the hell are you supposed to navigate this? Oh lord, that's awful. To use menu bar, press Alt plus letter. Thought I did that. There we go. About T.O.V.A. What on earth? Tests of variables of attention are computerized continuous performance tests that are non-language based. T.O.V.A is the visual version. T.O.V.A-A is the auditory version, programmed for use with PCs and Macintosh computers. This is raising more questions than answers. They were designed specifically to measure attentional variables for use in the screening, diagnosis, and treatment of children and adults with attention disorders, such as ADHD. Hey, maybe I need this program. Okay, so this computer came from some kind of medical facility. But you know, I definitely saw the Windows 98 splash screen. I know it wasn't my ADHD making me see that. So surely we can exit this. End of T.O.V.A. Sure. Uh-oh, I think I just rebooted. We might be stuck with T.O.V.A. It's crazy, it boots Windows 98, and then it's just instantly into T.O.V.A. That's the fastest Windows 98 boot I've ever seen in my life. Okay, so I'm guessing this doesn't give us any option to break out into the OS. So I doubt that's what they mean by interventions. Yeah. Alright, since Windows 98 is basically DOS, or at least is DOS at its core, T.O.V.A is probably an entry in the autoexec.bat, which we can get around using a boot disk. Just get in and edit it out. Alright, Alt-F-X, go away. And hey, the floppy drive works. And it's very quiet too. Yeah, we don't need no CD-ROM support for this. Alright, let's just have a quick looky at C drive. See what's on the root there. Yeah, more medical stuff. Alright, let's see if there's an entry in autoexec.bat. Yep, there's T.O.V.A. Let's rem that out. And we don't need to be CDing into that directory also. Save that. Get the disk out of there. And reboot. Uh-oh. That's not good. Sure we didn't need that win.com entry. I guess we don't. Let's get rid of that. I thought win.com was the start of Windows. Maybe I'm thinking of Windows 3.1. Other than this, I don't know what would cause it to just instantly reboot like that. There's nothing weird in the config.sys, is there? No. Quite normal. Let's see, what do you do now? You are currently running in MS-DOS mode. Do you want to return to normal mode? I would love to return to normal mode. It said no. There is no normal. Not with T.O.V.A around. Maybe I was supposed to press enter. Nah, that doesn't do it. T.O.V.A has completely taken over Windows. This is the weirdest thing. How about we press escape for no? What happens? So we just get DOS mode. Interesting. So can't we win our way into there from here? What in the... What has T.O.V.A done? Do it. Yeah, it's just gonna reboot. Yeah, we are stuck in a loop. Can we just exit? Nah, probably not. Just does nothing. Alright, so I guess we're hooped in terms of getting into Windows. It looks like there's some more stuff on here. Like old games. What's in there? Nothing I specifically recognize. There are date stamps on these from the year 2000. Matter of fact, some date stamps on the root directory. Config.sys was last modified in 2009? The end of 2009? That's kind of insane. That definitely wasn't our edit. Let's see what is in that EEG directory. Isn't that some kind of medical test? No, I guess not. It's a Pac-Man icon. There's a games directory. Oh, that's that same stuff that was on in that old games directory on the root. So clearly, somebody's gotten around T.O.V.A at some point. Maybe they broke Windows in the process. Or maybe the file system's broken. This one's ScanDisk on it. Do love the sound of that drive. Alright, no file system problems. Let's hold off on the surface scan for right now, so that's going to take forever. There's a way in this. I know it. You know, I seem to remember that /W switch having some kind of restore effect. Pretty sure it restored config.sys and auto-exec from backup, but that might have been added by T.O.V.A to stop people from hoopa-jooping the system. It has been so long since I had to think about this stuff. And you know, I was pretty sure io.sys was involved in loading Windows. Yeah, obviously we can't edit that. It's a binary. Well, let's see if we can force it into safe mode. Let's see what that does. No, we're just back to this complaining. Can we continue? Nope. Can we get into safe mode the traditional way? By spamming F8. Aha. Sounds like progress. Neurocybernetics. What have we uncovered here? This is getting weird. Or weirder. Were they really connecting people's brains to this computer? I swear, you cannot make this stuff up. Biofeedback printouts. If this is medical data, I'm not going to show it, but there's just a T.O.V.A file in there, whatever that is, which requires MS-DOS, or probably requires that T.O.V.A program to be running. I'm not seeing that. What about biofeedback? Must be in 256 color mode or higher. We've got to get this thing to boot correctly. Yeah, I'm trying real hard to remember how the system files interact. Oh, Jesus. There's so many partitions. It's either that or these are double space. Let's see. Probably not. Yeah, no. They're all separate partitions. 2 gigs there. Completely unused. But the rest of these probably are. Yep. And yep. Although, what was the point in this one? 7.78 megabytes. Alright. Maybe being in the GUI will jog my memory. Yeah, I got way too many multiples of system files. What does msconfig have to say? Normal startup. Config.sys. It's just the entries that we're all used to. It's basically just a pretty version of a text editor. Alright, system.ini. What's going on in here? Not particularly helpful. Win.ini? Yeah, I don't think those have anything to do with it. How about startup? Well, there's that biofeedback thing, but I'm pretty sure this is all stuff that runs when you're already in Windows. So why would that be screwing up the startup process? Okay, well, I guess we'll just do selective startup. Go with the bare minimum. No config, no auto exec, neither INI files, and let's just forget about the startup programs too. Hit that. See what happens. Let's reboot. Alright, that's better. Yeah, that looks like unsafe mode. Let's get in. And that's just my capture device. Next, next. Do your thing. Finish. Oh no, what is this? Not the printer port. Yeah, you know how important that is. Okay, this can go away. Forget about the printer port. That's probably the brain port, knowing this thing. That's fine. Not connecting our brain today. How about no? Go on. Perfectly legit. Alright. See, can we run biofeedback now? I want to see some brain graphs. I thought I was in 256 color mode. Maybe I should have let it install that video driver. Aha, not 16 colors. Come on, high color. Ugh, gotta restart. Oh, good old Windows 98. Okay, fine, I'll give in. Sure does boot fast with everything disabled, but that doesn't look like high color to me. The hard drive's making music. Yeah, stuck on 16 color mode. I bet we won't even go to 256. Ah, I'll humor you. I doubt it's gonna help. Yep, that ain't no 256 color. What else can we do? This is definitely a driver problem. Here, we're on the right display. Let's see, monitor. How about we have another go at plug and pray? And it's the same thing it did earlier. The best driver is already installed. You know, I thought that had more to do with the adapter driver, not the monitor. Got the ATI drag driver in there. Let's see. Can we change this? See if we have any better options. Go. Let's add the cabs to that search criteria. I don't have anything in the CD-ROM drive anyway. Nope. That's the best driver, apparently. Huh. Wonder why I can't just use the generic display driver. Well, you know, it could be possibly that we disabled the loading of some ATI utility. Let's see, what's in startup? ATI PTA, that's the control panel. I guess let's see what's in system and win.ini. Maybe that's where T.O.V.A is hiding. Let's see, those are in the Windows directory. Of course we want to show the files. And I guarantee it's still hiding its system files. Yep. Oh, now we get another warning. Now we're especially dangerous. It's like taking your life in your own hands. Alright, win.ini should be pretty close to the bottom, right? There it is. Ah, no open with? Let's see, we should have DOS prompt. Alright, do not edit this file. Alright, nothing telling in there. How about system.ini? Okay, I must be missing something. And it's probably pretty obvious, but man, it's been a long time. Let's just put system and win.ini back in there. So we at least get drivers loading. And reboot. Okay, now, do we get any better results? Hooray! 256 colors! Is that enough to run that biofeedback program? Yeah, well, come on. I thought you said 256 was enough. It's full of lies. Okay, well, can we go to 16-bit? Please? Oh, maybe we can do true color. That might be way too much to ask. I'm gonna set our expectations a little lower. Hit high color. Oh yeah, we can apply without restarting now. Forgot. We have drivers. Alright. That's looking better. Come on. I just want to see what you are. Okay. Oh, so this is that games thing. So I guess they'd have people play games while reading brain signals, I guess? And this doesn't do anything. I thought that was a mouse cursor. And none of the obvious stuff's working. Oop. Hit the numpad and it didn't like that. Oh, no, we're in a game. Those are some cutting-edge graphics. Got parallax and everything. Okay, I'm guessing we're supposed to drive. How do we go? It's not doing much. Unless maybe this is the test to measure your brain's boredom level. It don't do anything. Can we escape? Maybe M for mazes? Ah, I think we're onto something. Aha! But, you know, the arrow keys are a perfectly legitimate thing to expect to work. And it don't. Nothing does. Keyboard mash. Literally nothing does anything. Neither does the mouse. Numbers. F keys. Literally, I guess, well, oh right, it's supposed to take input directly from your brain. I'm learning so much about neurocybernetics. I wonder what kind of hardware device that actually requires. Okay, well, let's get it here. Obviously, we're not connected to the neural network. Escape that. What is neurocog? Interesting. Let's see, I'm an adult on most days. Subject directory. About the Windows directory. That's probably not the directory it means. Okay, I've hit enter enough times. Office of Military Performance Assessment Technology. Okay, now I'm worried. Where on earth did this machine come from? How did I end up with it? Automated Neuropsychological Assessment Metrics. This should be fun. The EEG Spectrum Neurocognitive Test Battery. For general assessment of neurocognitive functions such as long and short-term memory, problem solving, executive control, and hemisphere laterality. This is going to take 40 minutes? I don't need some silly software to tell me my brain's broken. I already know that. That's very obvious. However, let's see. Let's start into it. Oh no. I guess that directory joke's coming back to haunt me. Fine, I'll just type in the new path. Let's see, do you like that? Sure, that's correct. Collect subject information. Oh god, what information do you want? Ooh, no. Let's see, subject ID 1. Battery AA. Age 99. Okay, I get the feeling it doesn't actually need all this. Alright, how do we accept that? Oh, that was easy. Sleep scale. Let's see what that is. What in the, what's going on? Alright, we got glitchy graphics and we are frozen. Frozen solid. Or maybe that's part of the sleep scale test. Crash your computer so you'll get bored and go to sleep. Neuroscience. Alright, gotta reboot. Ooh, it didn't like that. You know, it is the funniest coincidence. I was just talking about neurocybernetics with somebody over the weekend. Or at least what is apparently called neurocybernetics. Alright, let's go rooting through the garbage. Oh, it's just that same thing that's also still there on the desktop. That's boring. Alright, what's in the start menu? There's some more neuro-cybernetic stuff. This is just that same program. Cybernetic interface system, here we go. Pictures. Okay, these sound more generic than I was expecting. I was hoping for pictures of the actual device. These are just wallpapers. That's boring. What else is in there? I saw a link to a website. Beyond VR. See, I'm sure it's not cached. Oh no, the internet connection wizard. My computer's already set up for internet. Imaginary internet. Click that. BeyondVR.net. Let's see if that still exists. And yes, indeed it does. And it looks like this website hasn't been updated since this machine was new. Cybernetic Interface System. The premier platform for biocontrolled 3D graphics. Let's see, the products page. Cybernetic Interface System. And they have no pictures of the device. How is this still around? Who's keeping this website up? Ah, system requirements, that should be rich. Oh no, that's somewhat new. New-ish. Let's see, what's in the shop? There's a non-zero chance I'd actually buy this thing. Oh, they don't have any products. Yeah, that looks terrifying. Shop site high security. It's almost like I stumbled upon a wormhole, time travel back to the late 90s, early 2000s internet. Let's see what happens if I click that. Dated 2018, so it ain't that old. Well, comparatively. Alright, so I guess we can't buy this thing directly from these people. About. Let's see. Okay, so they're just a provider of the 3D graphics software, and apparently not the hardware what actually does the brain-to-computer interfacing. Interesting that it's still going, though. That's for sure. Beyond VR also specializes in creating visual effects that react to music in real time. So you mean to tell me they invented those trippy Winamp visuals? Let's see, that's a clickable link. And clearly the same web designer. Okay, we're way down the rabbit hole now. Let's get back to that system. Alright, back on this. Let's get out of here. So what does this software actually consist of? Let's see, what's Brain Master? Whatever CIS is, we'll start with that. Huh. I don't see any tiles. Let's do something random. You know, we could probably use a higher resolution. I think we can probably handle 800 by 600. Ooh. Goes way up there. Maybe we'll get 1024 by 768, who knows? We are shooting for the moon. Yeah, there we go. Alright, that doesn't reveal anything more interesting in this program. So CIS stands for Cybernetic Interface System. Noted. What else was in there? Internal signal generator. Oh, that says titles, not tiles. Ugh. See, I need this brain repair system more than anything. Okay, so installed titles. Clearly we don't have anything installed. Alright, so that explains why we have nothing. I'm getting so much neuroplasticity. Alright, basic game set. What's that? Oh, this is that same program that I'm supposed to control with my brain. Alright, not getting far there. My brain can barely control the mouse. Let's see, what is Space Race? That sounds gamey. Is that an actual bona fide game? Or is this some kind of brain trickery? Seems like a game. Okay. Select something. Yeah! We are gaming! don't know what we're supposed to be doing. It's not controllable. Is this another one of those mind tricks? Yeah. Doesn't do anything. Well, it exits. I don't know what I hit. Okay. Okay, I guess this is just a game-like program. It said goodbye. And apparently it really meant that because they're not coming back. We are not exactly frozen, but also not getting far. Control-Alt-Delete can't help us. Guess we're rebooting again. This file system's never going to survive this. Alright, there had to be more to that Beyond VR thing. Otherwise, why would it be on here? Movies, A. Probably just some nonsense. I'm sure I'd like to see this thing in action. Hypnosis? Okay. Please let this load. Oh, they're just trying to psych us out with visuals. And yeah, that looks a lot like those Winamp visuals. There's gotta be a connection here. Okay, I guess this is what they would play while they were watching your brainwaves or whatever. Let's see, St. Elmo's Fire. Oh, that's pretty cool. Okay, what else is in there? Well, there's key utility, probably some licensing crapola. Key not found. Guessing it's a hardware license key. Let's see, what's an EEG spectrum? Are these more visuals? Those are websites. What are the chances that these still work? Let's get that URL. Oh, these are local websites. Alright, we're getting in the weeds again. What about those report screenshots? I saw a directory to that effect. Yeah, I guess nobody ever used this thing. All these timestamps are from 2003. It seems like something somebody was just trialing. Maybe, I don't know. It did have license key evidence. NVIDIA stereo display. That looks broken. That sounds interesting. Yep, who knows what that is. What file type that is. Okay, let's move on from that. What was way forward? EEG chomper. Labeled for the serial ports, COM1 and COM2. I'm gonna guess that this is like a Pac-Man type game that you control with your mind. Seems like it. Okay, I'm ready. I can't press the ready button with my brain, obviously. It's like they intentionally disabled the keyboard and all other controls. Yeah, this program won't even start. Pushing every key there is. Except the escape key. See if that gets us out. Aha! Sure does. Says goodbye. It's sure taking its time saying goodbye. Ah, there we go. There has got to be some evidence, something cool. What's in the documents folder? Nothing. Let's take a look at the root directory. You know, for something so scientifically fascinating, you'd think there'd be some more interesting data. Let's at least get some timestamps. I already know it was up to 2009. Or at least config.sys was, which is probably not showing because it's a super secret system file. Oh no, there it is. Yeah, one of our edits got it. Okay, well, let's see if those brainiacs were able to maintain a working CD drive. Horribly noisy. That's very typical of a Toshiba drive. Sounds like it's working. Maybe. Yep, sure is. We are auto running. Alright, let's kill this AOL install. Exit. Alright, so that works, which means this machine is fully functional. Now, I would like to run ScanDisk, but the problem is, it's going to take forever, because you have to scan each one of these partitions. And usually in that situation, it's way easier to boot up to Linux and scan the entire block device. So let's see if old Toshiba can read a CDR. Grumpy as it is. Sounds like it's happy about it. Yep, sure is. There's our Canopix intro website thing. Alright, let's try to boot into this. Let's see if we can CD boot in this thing. Pretty sure we can. Boot sequence. Gotta be new enough for that. Yeah, there we are. Alright. Save and exit. Yeah, there we go. See if we can make it. Uh-oh. I/O errors. That could either be that drive or, more likely, that horrible disk. It's been scratching around here for about a year now. Let's see if we can get through it. It doesn't seem too pressed about it. Man, KDE 3 on a Pentium 2. It's been a while. And it ain't the snappiest. And this resolution's kind of insane. Let's see if this is even workable. Kinda. Let's hit it with the bad blocks command. We get a status indicator on /dev/HDA. See how long that takes. Okay, for some reason the X server got hoopa-jooped, so I had to rerun this in the terminal. And it just says 480. Let's try to pull the smart data. They got smart disabled, which means it wasn't collecting data. So turning it on is probably useless. Yep. Let's do a more extensive test. We'll do NSVF for non-destructive read-write. Let's see what that says. Okay, so we actually do have 0 bad blocks. So I have no idea what that 480 means. Alright, so this hard drive is perfectly fine. Another surviving Western digital caviar. I guess the ones that managed to survive into the future are actually pretty good. All the bad ones died off back in the day. Okay, I better cut it short here because if I go any further I'm going to wind up buying one of those EEG machines. Apparently that's the electrical device that does the actual reading of the brain waves, I guess. Stands for electroencephalography. Yes, I think I said that correctly. Yeah, that was the last thing I expected to find on here. Definitely the most unique use case we've found on a system yet. And while it's immensely fascinating, it's definitely not something I can get into, no matter how cool controlling Pac-Man with your brainwaves may be. Speaking of cool, I'd like to give my thanks to the coolest people ever, the patrons and channel supporters, without whom this would not be possible. And thank you all very much for watching. See you next time.